Hey guys, well we're back at the workbench, fellas, and I'm trying to get caught up on some things. I'm way behind. I'm trying to get the coyote stuff finished up, and that's what I have in front of me here. And I thought I'd just do this segment real quick, fellas, to show you a few things. Somebody may not be familiar with porting, but guys, what I wanted to show you, one of the tricks I do that I don't always do, that I should do, I gotta take my own advice most of the time, is tape the head up right here. Because what I'm trying to do here, fellas, is get the sharp edges off for detonation right here. And when you're doing this stuff, fellas, it's bound to slip out on you. You're gonna be doing your edges and stuff here, and it has a tendency to kick out and hit your head, of course. And I just thought I'd bring that to your attention a little bit. But what I did do here, fellas, I tapered this back to the exhaust valves and actually lowered this here. Just something I think is going to work. Is this something that I know for sure will work? Well, common sense tells you it will. But sometimes when you think you're doing something right, you find out that you didn't do something right. Like a lot of times if you cut back, think you're really doing something on the shrouded valve, like all around here, you'll actually make the flow worse by doing that sometimes. Certain areas you just don't touch. And I'm not real familiar with these. But what I was doing, fellas, is I was tapering all the machining edges back in where they're sharp, and of course they stop airflow. But the reason I'm doing that more right this minute, these are getting bigger valves, and they're going to be going back to the machine shop, and he's going to be machining it for bigger valves. But even though he's doing that, he would probably say, don't bother doing this because it's not going to affect anything. But I'd rather just get the old machine rigs out of there. So when he goes to get in there and put his spin on it, that's not in the way. Would it affect it? I don't know. But I'd rather not take the chance. And another thing, guys, I wanted to show you, sometimes you don't have a valve around to put in to stop protecting your seats. These are old valves. I happen to have these left over because we're buying new valves. And next size up, I believe, we're going with it. I'm not sure the millimeter size. But one of the things I wanted to show you, fellas, if you just take a washer like this, you can go get these at Lowe's or any hardware store, and you can put a bolt in them. Sorry guys, I'm very bad trying to hold on to this. And just put it through to protect your seat. And you can grind these down thinner or a little bit smaller, however you want to fit the seat. And if you don't want to do each additional port, you just want to keep swapping it over, you can do that. Easy way to do that is to just do it with a screwdriver. You put a screwdriver in it and it holds it pretty good. And if you don't want to do it that way, you can use a bolt and a nut and put it through, and then you can put it on every port. That way you don't have to bother stopping and doing it every time you get ready to do that. So I just thought I'd show you guys that. One thing I wanted to tell you guys, anybody that follows my channel knows I'm not a real big flow number person, but you're going to get to see what kind of numbers these make, fellas, because the guy who owns the heads wants it done, and the guy that does all our machine work wants it done. he's always given me a nice kind word when he does our stuff. He always says, "I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing something right," and he always gives me a nice compliment. So that's good coming from somebody as knowledgeable as he is. But I just thought I'd run this past you guys. I'm doing them, and I still have the LS heads to finish up. And then my plan is, fellas, if nothing else gets in the way, I need work when I need it. I mean, when somebody gives me something to do, I take it. But I'm actually hoping this time I can just stay on my own stuff. I want to finish the 460 stuff. I'm going to put my own little spin on that. And I'll be posting that. I have a couple ideas I want to share with you guys on that segment. And we're going to learn together, fellas, if these late model 460 heads work or not. Unless you guys know more than I do. And sometimes you guys do. I've met some really intelligent guys on this channel. I'm glad I started this because I've met guys that are really knowledgeable. And then I love the enthusiasm of the guys that are learning. It's just a good thing. It makes me where I'm really proud that I started this channel. I've met some really good people. And I just thought I'd bring that up real quick, fellas. But I do want to tell you guys and point this out that what I did do here, I'm not saying this for anybody to copy. When I put something on here, this isn't to tell people to do this. This is what I'm doing. There's guys out there that don't really want to share information with these coyotes. I made another video about that. But one thing you can't go wrong with, fellas, that I can show you, is that you're never going to go wrong with tapering the machining ridges off. And I don't never want to tell anybody to go too far, but I did cut these back here. I lowered this because of detonation. Sometimes I'll do things, fellas, it has nothing to do with flow. Even if I have to lose a flow number or whatever, I worry about the detonation first. That's why in some of my videos I say you start here. I kind of get ahead of myself, fellas. I don't really mean you start here. My theories are, I don't always go into a lot of detail, but it's off the seat into the valve, off the seat. Because if you don't get that air to move through there first, off the seat, then the rest of it can't do its job. And I have to learn to explain things and go into more detail, fellas, on my videos. If I was to watch my own video, sitting back, not knowing what I was thinking, it's not good sometimes. But that's where I'm at with this, fellas, when I speak about that. It's not that none of the other stuff is insignificant. It's just that this is more important to me. The exhaust is most crucial, and getting off the seat. So I thought I explained that a little bit better, fellas. For anybody that's watched my other videos, I'm new to the game. I'm not really used to going into detail about stuff, and I'm hoping I'll get better at it, guys. That's why I always say, if you have a question, to leave a comment. And some of the comments I've had from you guys, I really appreciate it. But I hope I explained this right, fellas, when it comes to the tape. That's just in case you come up and you slip off, which is most likely going to happen. And I can see I need a new roll on this, because I might as well point this out to you guys too. I'm using this, see that, fellas? The roll actually worked its way back. So if I was doing this right now, I'd be hitting the steel part instead of the roll doing its job if I was holding it straight. So this is a good opportunity to point that out, fellas. If you're new doing porting, you got to pay attention to this kind of stuff. Most of the times I'll use the other rolls for that, the long rolls to have a point to them, and I'll be using that instead of, I'll show you guys. They're right here. This would actually work well in there. See, fellas, it almost fits really well. And you could hold it this way and then contour it in. And all I'm doing right now is, fellas, getting the high points off. I'm not trying to do anything fancy. I'm just trying to get it where it's a detonation thing is what I'm after right here, fellas. It's not about changing anything as far as airflow. It's detonation, high points, sharp edges. And same with here, fellas, sharp edges. I might actually, by smoothing this out here, my theory is, fellas, it might actually lose flow around that valve right there, because that kind of guides the air and kind of forces the air to go out there, to go out right here when you smooth this out. But I'd rather have this smooth where there's no sharp edges. So that's my theory behind that, guys. I'm hoping I'm explaining things a tiny bit better. I actually need to explain things a lot better than what I've been doing with you guys. So I'm just fortunate that I have some people smart enough to know, well, that's what he means. So, but anyway, fellas, I thought I'd do this real quick. I'm doing these, and I told you I'd be keeping you informed. And that's where I'm at. Like I said, I'm going to start on my own stuff. The 460 heads, I'll be bringing them up on the bench if I can lift them. You guys know how that goes. Going from even these coyote heads, they're not that heavy. And the LS heads, they totally spoil me. I gotta say, you get the sharp edges off of them, they're a piece of cake as far as flipping them around and working with. They're a pleasure to work with when it comes to that stuff. Alright guys, well listen, thank you for checking my channel out again tonight. And I'll be sure to keep you informed on these. I'm going to post the flow numbers when I find out, fellas, whether they're good or bad. I'm not going to keep you guys in the dark with anything, because the last thing I want is to show you guys something and I will tell you if it doesn't work. I'm not going to say because I did it that it was a good thing. This is going to be truthful. It's going to be, it is what it is, and I'm not going to pretend to be something that I'm not. I'm not the best of anything as far as head porting. I just do my own spin on things, and I get a lot of grief sometimes from the way I do things. It's like with flow benches and things like that. But guys, this is just something that I do, that I've seen work over the years, and I've seen where it works out in the car, and it's just good for me. The coyote stuff, we're going to find out together, fellas. And hopefully somebody can look back on this and look it up, and they'll say, wow, that car wound up making that power, or it ran that time. And then you guys can kind of go by that. And if it don't work out the way we want it to, you'll say, wow, I don't want to make that mistake. Especially if I find out that I did taper in, like around a valve or something like that, and it doesn't do it justice. But anyway, guys, that's where I'm at with this. And maybe we can learn something together, and maybe you guys can teach me something, and maybe I can teach you something, fellas. But I appreciate you guys taking the time to tune me in all the time. All right, guys, have a good night. Take care, and God bless.